Hi, I am your host, Rose, and I have a very special guest again, and I met her in person last Saturday, January the 21st, 2012, when I told you about the great event that took place at the gift shop, Sun Kafa. And it was amazing, and we was there all day, and it was very powerful. In spite of the weather and the snow, they had a full house. It was great meeting everybody, the love, the unity. That was real family. I call it Family Day. Mm-hmm. And that's where I met my guest, Barbara, in person that day. So now she's going to introduce herself to you.
Hi, I'm Barbara Gagliardi, and I am very thankful that I'm here. Thank you, Rose, for inviting me. And that day was something else. It was a special day for me, for everyone that was there, just to be in that energy. I know everybody was talking about vibration and energy, and that is definitely something that I am about and what I teach and what I work with. And to be connected with all of those people in one big room, all the love that was flowing through us, and you could just feel that truth, that just the beauty that was coming through everyone. It was really quite something. So I appreciated that, being invited to that also. But what I do is I am a metaphysical practitioner. I have my master's in metaphysics, and I teach a few different modalities, and I work with different healing systems. One of them is I work with the chakras, because I believe, as we spoke,
yes,
vibration and sound and color, where everything is vibration and energy. One of the things that comes to me as one of the big learnings that I had come through this is how our energy and our thoughts create the energy that comes to us. And I was just speaking to Rose about how I basically was in a situation where I moved here. And when I moved here, I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to connect? And even with all the teachings and the understandings that I've come across, I'm in this, I saw myself as in this box. And it wasn't until I took myself outside the box that I started connecting with everyone. And that was a lesson in it for myself as a healer of energy medicine. I am not perfect, as I'm human, and I am always learning. But it taught me a valuable lesson about you are where you are. And you bring what you feel and think about yourself to your situation. So through that, I have, it's what I would call manifesting. Mm-hmm. And your thoughts definitely manifest what you desire, what you want to bring into your life. So I have a website, and it's called The Nurtured Heart. The reason I actually named it The Nurtured Heart is because basically everything comes from how you feel about yourself, the self. And I say the self rather than, oh, myself, because we could take care of ourselves, we can take vitamins, we can work out, my body's my temple. You can have that beautiful, understanding, and that's great, but there's so much more to it than that.
Thank you.
The self is about the spiritual self, the spiritual I am, that self that is within us, that we're not taught. Society does not teach us to go there and to understand that. And that brings me to one of the modalities that I do too, which is called Yandi work. And Yandi work is all about, to get to that understanding, to get to that unfolding, it's to understand where you're at came from. And that brings us to the inner child.
Yes.
And
this is a great book.
Mm-hmm.
Your inner child of the past. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of my information and healing from John Bradshaw.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Channel 13, mm-hmm. I watched him all day, and I just cried. Mm-hmm. And it was very healing and powerful to help me understand why I was feeling the way I was, even though it was negative and destructive.
Yes.
But I didn't understand the whole concept until I really started reading different books on the inner child, because I feel unconsciously a lot of people don't connect. So they are acting out, but they don't understand why. They're making choices that's not good, but they don't understand where it's coming from. So this is where you come in.
Exactly. And where it's coming from is from whatever happened to that child way back when. We've all had situations, some more dysfunctional than others, some horrific and traumatic. Even if it was just a fight with your brother and your mother sided with your brother, that thought was seated. And it was seated deep. And then what happens is, well, why didn't she stick up for me? And there's a thought. Why now my father, why didn't he stick up for me and come to my rescue? There's betrayal comes out of that. There's so many things that can come out of that. And before you know it, life goes on, you get married, you make up with your mother, you still love her, your brother and you are friends, you know, life goes on and you raise a family, and then one day you're 48 years old, your kids are away at college, and you've got your head on your hubby's shoulder and you start crying. There's something that's not right, and I don't know why, where it's coming from. That's just a scenario. And there is many others that are much, worse than that. I shouldn't judge it and say much worse, but everybody has their pain, and it's coming from somewhere.
Thank you.
So then you go and you start taking something to medicate it, or you don't know who to turn to because you don't know who's going to believe you because you don't even know where it's coming from. So this is what comes to a manifestation of being ill at ease with oneself and understanding why. Even if you go for therapy sometimes it helps get you through a lot more, and there's a lot of great therapists out there. But then there's still an underlying something. So what happens is sometimes it manifests into cancers or illnesses of all proportions, some minor, some not so. And before you know it, your life is like, it can end your life if you choose to. And that's where choice comes in also. So what I do with the Yandi work is about going into, it's actually the second chakra, which is where the child resides. And that's a part of my work too, working with the chakras. So the spleen and the sacral are where the adult and the child reside. So what we do is we're connecting them. It's like an alchemical integrating. And what we do is we're doing it together, and spirit is working with us. So what we're doing is we're bringing that child to that understanding, and then we integrate. And there's a lot involved, and it's probably a few sessions at a time, and you have to be very committed to the sessions. And what comes out of it is your inner light. That's always been there. That's what the child is. The child is light.
Yes.
And what we're doing is bringing that back, because that is basically what everybody's situation is. They're not in touch with that. And we're all beautiful children.
Thank you.
And for us to live that way, it's about bringing that to light again. So that is one of the modalities that I do. I also do trance healing, which is working to bring a balance and a cleansing through the chakras, and bringing the kundalini in focus and the chakras and aligning them. I also do intuitive readings, which is another thing that is about going into the person and going into their chakras and reading what's off balance or what's, maybe not functioning as well as it could. And there's a lot of understanding comes through that. So where we're at is that there are different ways to get to it, but the bottom line is you can have all these tools, and you can have all these teachers, and you can have all of these modalities. You can go to a meditation class, and that can help you, which I do that also. I teach chakra meditation, where I bring you all the way up to the crown chakra, and I have you sit in the energy. And then when we're finished with that, we sit in that energy for a little while, and I take them into a guided meditation.
Okay.
It's divinely guided for the most part, and there are answers there. And the reason there are answers there is because now we're talking to the higher self. Okay, and the higher self is that part of yourself that we, again, like I said before, we're not conditioned to listen to. And this brings you to that. So as you get to that, you start to see shifts. Because again, we're working with the vortexes of energy that are in the chakras. That energy is what we're made up of. And when we're working with those energies and getting in touch with them, we're using the visualization to see the colors. If you don't see the colors, that's fine. It's not necessary. A lot of people think, oh my God, I didn't see a color. But what we're doing is we're getting to it, and we're balancing it. Even the vibration alone will get you there. And what it's doing is it's getting you in tune with that inner essence within yourself. And through that, you start to see a shift. You start to see a shift in the choices you make. You start to see a shift in the people around you. Because, you know, sometimes we surround ourselves with the wrong people. Some of them we aren't meant to get rid of. I hate to say that. And some of them are going to be there no matter what. But the ones that are not necessary for your growth,
yes, it's time to let
they
go.
will start, yes, they will start, you know, finding their own way.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with them. It's just they're where they're at, and you're learning and you're growing. So the nurtured heart comes from the concept of the unfolding. And all these modalities that I do take you to that. And that's pretty much, you know.
So how long you been doing this? And what inspired you?
The path I've been on for quite some time. Being a young mother, I was, you know, pregnant before I got married, so, you know, I didn't do things the normal, whatever normal is.
Thank you.
Yes. I wasn't ready, but of course I love my children to death. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. But through that, I had things about myself that, you know, now I can work on, but at the time I didn't know. There was always this inner thirst, this inner, I know there's something else there. I used to dabble in astrology, I would dabble, you name it, anything spiritual. And I had some interesting teachers. One introduced me to Eastern philosophy. Another introduced me to the Native American spirituality, which felt like home to me. And I didn't think anything would ever take me away from that. And then I moved to Florida from New York, uprooted, and couldn't find it, but I knew that I still had it within me. So I lived in Florida for about 7 years, and the teachers and the people that I ran into you would not believe. When I say not believe, is because they're people you'd find off the mountain somewhere, and you're like, well, how did I find you? You know, that kind of thing. And even though there was ego involved in a lot of these people, they also had so much to teach me. So in the process of that, at the time I didn't realize that.
Yes.
But then I had another, oh my goodness, it's time for me to end my relationship because I knew something else was going on. And that was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I was married for 24 years. But I did it. I took a lot of courage that I didn't think I had. Through that, before that I became a licensed massage therapist, and massage therapy I thought was a way in because I knew there was some healing thing going on with the people I was meeting. I was very involved in, I understood acupuncture, and through massage I learned about Chinese medicine, which, again, modalities of the healing arts. So it was always kind of like going towards the healing arts, so to speak. And anyway, at that time, you were a massage therapist and you did healing work. What is that? It wasn't like registering for the common, you know, average person. So anyway, I got my divorce. I moved back to New York. And when I was doing massage and aesthetics, I also was an esthetician and did skincare. I would work on people. And when I worked on people, I'd feel things, you know, and that was what kind of like said, I know something's going on here. And when I finally got through the massage and the aesthetics, I was done with the massage, and I said, well, I'm going to open up a skincare business.